Hi, and welcome to this installment of Frank and Mary here in Westborough. If you have not seen this show before, my name is Art Bergeron. My day job is as an elder law attorney at Myrick O'Connell down the street, also in Westborough off of Route 9. But this is not about elder law. This is about my friends Frank and Mary. If you've seen my presentations, which are now actually monthly being done through the kindness of Westborough Cable, you've seen some of my seminars, you know that my friends Frank and Mary have a very simple goal. They want to live in their house until they die and be buried in the backyard. And so if that's in Westborough, that means they want to stay right here. They don't want to move to Marlborough. They want to move with their kids in San Diego. They want to be right here. So the point of the show is to tell them about the people they need to know and the programs they need to know about in order to stay right here. My wonderful co-host is Shelby Marshall, whom, some people know me. Everybody knows Shelby, who's now been a selectman now for almost 3 years. Hard to believe. We've been doing these shows for like two something years, a long time, right? We've got a great guest. Usually she finds all the guests, although I confess I know this person, and that's gonna come up, I think, during this show. We're gonna talk to her for about 15 minutes, and then Shelby and I are gonna talk a little bit about. Shelby wants to kind of do a kind of a short briefing regarding kind of where we are on COVID and related issues, which is really important right now. So, Shelby Marshall, thank you very much for doing this. And whom do we have today?
Yeah, Arthur, always great to see you. Welcome to our guests. So glad for those that are tuning in to us. I hear through the grapevine that our audience is growing, Arthur. So we're doing good things by bringing content that people enjoy and are finding interesting. And I know that because now folks are coming to me with, hey, I've got an idea for your show. So love it and really appreciate that. So very excited today to welcome our guest, Regina Wolf Fritz. She's the owner of a Better Day Adult Day program. She's going to tell us all about it. But Arthur, you and Regina know each other. So I'm going to do a little role reversal and turn it back to you.
Okay, and so very briefly, right? Regina, I met because she was on staff with Tammy Pozaricki when Tammy Pozaricki had created Pleasantries, which was this unique program. And then when Tammy decided that she needed to do other things, she wanted to be doing other things, Regina decided to buy it, right? Or to buy it. It is now a nonprofit. And full disclosure, I'm on the board. I think this work is extremely important. What she does has helped many of my clients, has helped my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, who was there to live a better life, than they could have been living when they were at home, right? And so I just wanted Regina to come on to talk about this. You and I, Shelby, know because our day jobs, we're both involved in this and with folks with memory care. This program, you can't find a comparable program for 20 miles, for 30 miles in this area. It is unique. So Regina, can you just kind of tell us about the program? Tell us about what's going on. I'd like to have more of your background, except, we agreed that we could, you've got a day job, we've got 15 minutes. So I'd like you to kind of focus on what the program is, who you deal with, and what you're doing, because you're open. One of the things that you did is you managed to stay open through this whole thing, which is pretty astonishing. Regina.
All right. Thank you, Arthur. Thank you, Shelby, for having me. Yes, my name is Regina, and I'm the executive director at Better Day, formerly Pleasantries. And we are a home in Marlborough. We're in a residential neighborhood right next to the Fort Meadow Reservoir. And we welcome guests every day into our home, usually up to 15 guests. With COVID-19, presently we have 6 guests with us at any time. And what we do is literally, our name describes it well. We're trying to have the best day we can have. Better Day, we come together. And so right now I have a group in the living room, in the sunroom. They're actually in the sunroom. We have a beautiful sunroom overlooking the reservoir. And they've just actually talked about Martin Luther King Jr. Day and talked about their dreams. But in general, Arthur, to give you out there an overview, we are open Monday to Friday from 8:30 to 4:30. We serve food right here on the premises. We cook everything ourselves. Shelby, you probably remember lunch. Yes, we love to have people over for lunch. Yep. And we cannot wait for the times that we can welcome.
I'll be back. I'll be back once COVID is over to be a guest.
Please. It's we love to do this. So, but we come together right now up to 6, and we spend the day together doing what we like to do. So we are small enough, we can adjust to our likes, our dislikes. We usually start the morning with a leisurely breakfast. So everybody just walks in and we warm up slowly, chat about events of the day, events of the week. And then after that, we usually move over, we do our morning exercise. We exercise every day. And after that, the rest of the day, I would say we try to find a good rhythm. It's all about a good rhythm of being out there loud and crazy and really calming down again and resting. So we mix up physically and mentally challenging activities that we find match fit our guests and honestly our staff, because I always say, like, happy staff, happy guests. And so there's a lot of laughing. I hear them right now. And besides that, so in normal times, we are out and about. We are members of Tower Hill Botanic Garden, so we love to go to the Botanic Garden. We have Girl Scouts come in. We have high school students in the afternoons join us for extra one-on-one time, for games, for walks. We are a very outdoorsy oriented group. I myself have a background in horticulture and have worked on at the Native Community Organic Farm for 15 years. So love to be outdoors. And honestly, last year this came in very handy because COVID-19, we literally pulled 90% of our programming outdoors onto our deck, the garden, and to the shore, the lake shore. So we garden. We have a daily walking group that pulls through most of the winter, unless the streets are not, the ground is not passable. But so we are a very active group. We have a good mix, I think. Our age range is from 60 to 102, and we're a good mix, men, women. So.
And I think, Regina, one of the things that, recently we were talking about this, and you talked about the fact that you do have this mix, and so that for some folks really are going to be walking with you, but for folks who just can't manage that physically or mentally, that there is an alternative. Can you just kind of talk about how that works? Could you get people together for some particular things, but then even for this, it's really remarkable, even for this relatively small program, very individualized program, that you can really kind of provide that individualized attention to someone or care to someone.
Yes, I always find it amazing. In the mornings, we're kind of all hanging out together. And then, we have our lunch. And after lunch, I would say, like, we split up. There are some people who love to help clean up in the kitchen. There's another group that loves to kick up their legs and rest a little. And then there's the other group that really goes out usually after lunch for a walk. And we can do that because we're so small. We have always 2 care partners right now, 2 care partners and myself. So we can split up. And the program we are designed, and honestly, I have big dreams for the future, is really for independence, that people can move and mill around. I found one lovely guest. She loves to sit with me in the office, and I just had to say, can't do it right now. But so I have guests come in here. They move through the sunrooms, through the craft room. We have a quiet corner. And I have big dreams for the outdoors, to have it all fenced in, beautifully landscaped. And then we also open the outdoors, because we always have some guests that find calm in the outdoors. We have one guest, she loves to sit under our dogwood, and pushing our limits even further out, that it's not the front door, but really we can use the whole outdoor space, will open up completely new kind of programming, which is very individualized and freeing. Yeah.
So Shelby, we both deal with folks, who are at home, who have some memory issues, or who are taking care of some folks at home with memory issues, and I just find so often I'm just confronting folks don't want to leave because you don't want to embarrass your spouse, because your spouse got some issues, and so what are you doing? You're staying at home all the time, and then the care partner who's got memory issues is just watching TV, and the other partner is just getting bored, and it's just all bad, and I've told this story that one day I was talking to my sister. This was several years ago. She has her husband who died, maybe like a year and a half ago. But before then had had memory issues, had been at home. Actually, she was able to keep him at home because they're very, very close, and for several years before that with memory problems. Fortunately, they had 7 kids, they had 6 girls, so there's girls around that were helping them. But a great addition to this was that for a period of, I think, a couple of years, he went to this program. And I still remember my sister saying one of her favorite stories was one night she picked him up, because it's a whole day program, right? So or at least, for many people, it's a whole day program. And she picked him up at the end of the day. She said, "So how was your day?" She said, I had the best day." "Well, what did you do?" "I have no idea. It was great." But it gets to the essence of this, right? It's like, it's not about remembering what you did, right? It's about how you feel. It's about how you feel. And and that becomes so striking as you develop memory problems, because so many of us have our whole lives built upon our ability to remember things, or our ability to anticipate things, But is that really what a human being is? Is that really what makes you happy, And so I was so impressed when I saw that Regina, ended up doing this program, because it just seemed like Tammy was just like a perfect fit for this program, right? Just wonderful. It's just wonderful.
And it's a little like Arthur. I love how one of our board members and also daughter of one of our guests always puts it, when she says like, "Oh, it's just." First of all, she said, like, when she was looking for a date program, she was looking for something where she could imagine herself be, when we get older. And she's like, "Yeah, I can see myself there." And also, it's like, for her, it's like dropping her off at Aunt Susie's, or it's just like at a friend's house. And it's this comfort. I think that's the key thing to the success, is just creating a comfort level, because that's when we're all at our best, when we feel comfortable and are not stressed about performing. And that's really what we, I think, try to remove, that everybody is so comfortable. And is it the best?
Absolutely. I mean, I know that there are many families that, to Arthur's point, they find themselves being very isolated. And, I've seen over the years so many caregivers become isolated with their loved one who they are caring for. And to Arthur's point, what I love about this program is it gives both individuals independence, and it reinforces that in such a holistic and healthy way. I saw on your website that you have programs folks can attend from 2 days to 5 days. The hours, there's some level of flexibility. So it really is intended to meet everyone's sort of schedule need, and I'd even say, budget to a great extent. I am curious to understand maybe an example of how you've adjusted, because you used to go out on field trips and travel. So I know COVID has really crimped everyone's style to that respect. Can you give an example of how you've adapted to that, for our viewers?
Yeah, so the first adaptation we did was the complete restructuring from an 8-hour program. We first moved it to a 4-hour program in order to accommodate everybody, because, we had 17 guests and I couldn't have them all at the same time. So we went back with half days. And now we moved slowly. We now have 2 full days, and the other 3 days are half days, with 2 very completely separate cohorts. Okay. So that if one group should get infected, the other one would be safe.
Sure.
We have adjusted, and like you said, like a lot of the fun things got cut. We've never been as much outdoors during the whole summer as we've been. We've sat every day at the beach, and it's been wonderful. Furthermore, we've gardened, we go on walks, and our care partners are just great. They are very creative. And we have started, we collected, for example, we collected seeds, we collected cone pods, we collected things that we paint, we got into different crafts. Mm-hmm. I think we just did more, the outdoors
Yeah.
offered so much for us. And then
Well,
the day was also so much shorter, to tell you the
Sure.
truth. The day was shorter, so it's over before we blink.
And I think there's sort of this natural tendency as folks get older and we're caring for them, we bring them inside.
Yeah.
And one of the beautiful things I think about COVID for all of us, regardless of age, is that we've really come to appreciate the beauty, the peace, tranquility, the rejuvenation that the outside brings to us. And so it's wonderful to hear that you have really embraced that for your guests. And, I know how that makes me feel when I get out and get that fresh air. And I think regardless of, where one is in their memory journey, it's good for the soul. So it's great to hear. I know, I think it's important that we put your website up, so we'll make sure that that's part of the sort of ticker tape that our friend Aiden will help put up on the screen, so folks can contact you, and we'll also have a phone number there. Are you still taking new guests at this point?
Yes, we are. We are, because, there's always movement. There's always some guests moving on. And so, yes, we do. We always welcome people to call, check in with me, and we try to accommodate as much as we can.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yes.
Arthur, this time I have to thank you for an amazing guest.
An amazing guest. Regina is just an amazing, this is a great program. Once again, it's for people in a particular stage of their life. But if you're Frank and Mary and you want a way to stay home, and this is an issue, go talk to these people. You won't believe it. It's just the most wonderful thing, just go talk to them.
Yeah.
Okay?
And have the conversation. The conversation is free. I always say that. Have that first conversation, because that's sometimes the hardest part, to understand the resources that are out there.
Right. So thank you so much, Regina.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And we'll be right back because Regina's got to go back to her day job, but stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome back. And I hope you enjoyed meeting Regina Wolf Fritz. If you've got a family, a family in that situation, you got to talk to these people. So Shelby, what is new in Westborough? Let's kind of talk about, every day it seems the rules are changing. The expectation is changing around COVID. Can you just kind of talk about what's going on and what to expect? And once again, for folks who watch this show regularly, we've agreed that this is going to be part of our regular, every show, we're going to talk about what's going on, because it keeps changing, right?
It does. And Arthur, I think it's important that folks have accurate, current information. And because, God knows social media and the neighbor told me that's not the best way to gather your information. It's helpful, but it's not the best way. So I'm going to go ahead and share a screen. Okay, so what I want to do here is we want to talk about the vaccine, and I want to direct folks to the best source, because the information about vaccines is changing. Just yesterday, the CDC, and it was sort of late yesterday and into today, said, hey, we want everyone over 65 to get vaccinated. So let's talk about that. So first of all, I want to drive everyone here to mass.gov. This is the place where you want to get your information. Right over here on the right-hand side is the COVID-19 tab. You just click on that. And then there's lots of information here. But again, today we're just going to talk about the vaccine. And look right here, COVID-19 vaccine. Okay. And it brings up this information. And look right here, right? The questions everyone is asking: when can I get the vaccine? So what I love about this website is it really is very easy to follow, starting with pictures. I love pictures, right? So here's where we're at. Okay. So right now we're in phase 1, that's over here. And when you think about phase 1, it's really all about healthcare workers doing direct care. And so those are your first responders, police, EMTs, folks in any sort of healthcare setting. A dentist's office are now being included. Certainly long-term care facilities where, again, the staff are being included in those, as well as the residents. home-based healthcare workers, and basically everyone involved in direct care. That's sort of where we're at right now. Phase 2, Arthur, you and I were talking about earlier today, is really, it feels like it's going to be the bulk of everyone else. But before we get there, let's just kind of go down here a little bit and just look at, I just want to quickly show folks why this website is so important, because it really starts to spell things out. So we're here, sort of the second week in January, and you can start to see just visually where the different groups are that are getting vaccinated. So this may or may not include Frank or Mary or their friends or their loved ones, but Frank and Mary's friends and loved ones could very much be here as part of long-term care facilities or congregate care settings. And so I want to reinforce, and we'll make sure this is on the ticker tape, that if you want information, mass.gov/COVID vaccine. It will skip through those first couple of screens that I showed you, but that is the resource that you want to go to. I'm going to stop sharing the screen, but that's where we're at right now. So we're looking probably at a month and a half, probably before Frank and Mary are going to get the vaccine, and it's a moving target. I mean, just yesterday, the governor and lieutenant governor were in Worcester at the Worcester Senior Center, and the governor said that while they're getting all of these, we just heard that Gillette Stadium is going to be a place for vaccines. I heard that Fenway Park is going to be a place. Obviously, that doesn't maybe help our friends here in Westborough, but all of these facilities are being brought up to be ready for vaccines, but the state, according to the governor, doesn't even sort of know 5 days out when the next supply of vaccines are coming in. So it's a very fluid situation at this point. Is that your understanding as well?
Wow. I'm learning all this stuff from you, and I am understanding, because I was just mentioning to you, we just had on my Northborough show, we had the public health woman there, who was really just terrific, and who was just talking about all of this, right? And she was talking about the strategy there. And then last week I did the show in Nantucket, and every community has got kind of a different strategy. So in Nantucket, it's like this small, it's like 13,000 people, there's one hospital, there's one of everything, it's like one. And so they've actually set up a website where if you're a senior, you're just going to sign up to that website. You're just going to tell them, you're going to sign up, you're going to say, here's who I am, I'm over 75, or I've got these comorbidities or whatever. And then they're literally going to outreach to you and tell you when to come in and say, so this is, that we've got the vaccine now, and here's how it's going to work. But in other communities, of course, in larger communities where multiple sites are going to be available for vaccines, it's all different, So getting, I think what you started off with, the most important piece about this is it's going to be driven by the town. It's going to be driven by town.
And so as it relates specifically to Westborough, I have had conversations with our town leadership about that next level of communication to residents. So it answers the question, but when can I get my vaccination here in Westborough? Is the board are we going to is it going to be like the old days of like polio vaccines where you go and, you're like standing in line or whatever to get your shots? So all of that information is coming, but we're not there yet. And so I want to reassure the public that those conversations are absolutely taking place between our public safety teams and our public health team. We're just a few steps and stages sort of behind that. On Monday and Tuesday of this week, Patrick Parcell, our fire chief, and his team led a clinic of first responders at the Doubletree Hotel to vaccinate healthcare workers from like 5 or 6 different towns. And so, if you will, that was almost like a trial run. You might imagine if we get the call here in Westborough and there's an opportunity, I can assure you that our town staff will engage in the opportunity to deliver those vaccines. But we here in Westborough are so uniquely placed. We've got Worcester right up the street. We've got an abundance of healthcare facilities. We've got Reliant. We've got a number of different options where vaccines may be delivered even before they get to the municipal level. So again, a fluid situation, but I want to just ensure folks, mass.gov /COVID vaccine. And if you have questions, call your healthcare provider. They're probably going to tell you the same thing, but certainly they are one of the first folks you want to call.
And we're going to do everything we can, and Frank and Mary are going to do everything they can to try to keep you informed about all of this. And as I mentioned, we're going to have this as a regular feature.
Right.
We've talked to cable, and I know that Shelby, you've been talking to cable about there may be even some other things, whether it's public service announcements or other things, especially to give seniors this opportunity, because here you have the most vulnerable population that's also the least technologically into it, in terms of the screens and all the stuff. So the outreach to the seniors, I know, is just going to be a tremendous challenge, tremendous community challenge. It's a real community thing. It really tests places like Westborough, where there is this really tremendous sense of community, which is real. That's real special. That's real special.
Absolutely.
So Shelby, before we go, I just want to make sure that at the end of every show, we try to cover anything. You put your selectman hat on. You should get like a kind of a goofy cap that you can wear. It has like this town. Oh, I shouldn't say that has the town seal. That's a whole other issue.
Oh, please.
That has, when you're being the selectman. So is there anything special that folks should be kind of tuning into over the next week?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go back and do a quick screen share, hopefully do that successfully. I'm going to share my screen. So our friends at Westborough Connects, they've been on a couple times. They are hosting the 3rd annual Martin Luther King Jr. Community Celebration. That is on Monday from 11 to 12:30. Jamel Adams, is a nationally known poet, and he will be speaking at this event. If you are interested in attending, it's free, but you do need to register. You want to go to westboroughconnects.org/programs. It's going to be a great program. And I think it will be come at a very appropriate time for healing and sort of peaceful conversation and thought. And we could all use more of that. And I also want to let folks know that the Westborough Democratic Committee is giving back to the community and helping in that process on Martin Luther King Day, 10 to 4, a food drive for the Westborough Food Pantry. So many of you know Kate Donahue. She lives at 17 Gary Circle. You can bring your donations to the Westborough Food Pantry to her house from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And do something good on a day in which we remember someone who led with courage and leadership and love and passion.
That's a wonderful way to end the show. So thank you so much, Shelby, for that. Folks, I hope we hope you enjoy these shows and that you find them informative. Once again, we'll continue to try to make Frank and Mary, have Frank and Mary help you in any way we can, So if you've got suggestions, by the way, you should call Shelby if you've got suggestions for other shows, and especially during this time, or for other things that the cable station can be doing, because they're totally devoted to keeping you connected and keeping you safe. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much, Shelby, as usual. We'll see you next week. And folks, we'll see all of you next week, if you want to watch, for the next installment of Frank and Mary here in Westborough. Thank you very much.
Bye.